Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. My name is Paul Young. I'm going to walk you through artificial intelligence, GRC, kind of give you an overlay on risk mitigation and just some of my experience working with AI as part of the overall risk and compliance area and driving the right results from the proper use cases on AI. Here's a brief bio about myself. I'm a CPA. I've been CPA for over 30 years. I'm basically a financial solution expert. I've spent a lot of time in government risk and compliance area, both from an accounting audit perspective as well as a solution expert. So here's my agenda. I'll talk risk management AI, I'll talk about GRC and AI, and I'll talk about audit tracking and AI. So if we look at some of the critical aspects about risk mitigation, any sort of model, whether you AI or whether you artificial intelligence or whether you make a forecasting model or fraud detection model, they're all going to be based on premises and based on rules in design. And one of the things that you want to eliminate is biasness with the model. So you want to build in proper procedures to assess that. And part of that is audit tracking and just the overall thresholds and metrics you establish there. Second piece of anything else, because you could be dealing with a real life data connection, and I've seen this with fraud examples with telecom companies that are determining if somebody's coming in and stealing a device that you wanted in near real time. So you want to make sure you mitigate those tunnels, potential security threats that are coming into your live database. That's critical. Privacy issues is a big issue, both your internal policies as well as government policies and mandates, whether that's in Europe, whether that's the United States or Canada. You need to be abreast to what's going on there. Environmental harms, this is very good concerned around what's happening overall with your solution in terms of its results, in terms of its bad actors. That's something you need to bear in mind. Intellectual property infringement. So if you're in most cases when you're building solutions, you're building based on software and platform level in terms of how you deploy it. So you want to make sure that you're not in violations of any rules around the platform or solution software side. Job losses, that's typically looking at productivity area and just looking at what that's going to impact, and that's a change management. And of course, like anything else with a model, the lack of accountability and oversight. This kind of gives you an idea. Like the framework itself for GRC isn't going to change whether you're deploying closed consolidation reporting solution, whether you're doing demand forecasting, whether you're working at a digital adoption in terms of customer support area. They're all going to follow the same type of framework. You're going to identify the control objective, you're going to map that control objective, and you're going to basically kind of mirror around what you're going to do around triggers and all this to protect and detect and prevent fraud and stuff. And as you can see around here, continuous improvement in basically reporting. Governance and compliance basically gives you a good example around what you need to do in terms of overall improvement. Your risk tolerance is critical when you're doing any sort of GRC and risk. You're going to have to establish what your critical risk pattern is to it. You're also going to do is update your GRC model or solution to basically overlay every use case that you're doing with AI, whether that's a chatbot, whether that's demand forecasting, whatever use case you're doing, you want to overlay that into your GRC framework to make sure that you're picking that up as well. And you want to make sure that everything you're doing is properly to decision support the right decision. What may end up happening is your internal audit or just overall finance may want to look at this to make sure that whatever metrics you establish for that use case is achieving its results. So you'll want to do what's called a performance audit. Now here's kind of the way you're looking at the tracking of AI is you're looking at from the modeling perspective, the project scope, how you define the objectives, the deployment and testing area, the results of what you've done in the deployment and rollout, data management, what's going on with the data in terms of the cybersecurity threats, the overall storage, just around how you're controlling the data in the output. And then continuous monitoring. Is the application up? Are you having audit tracking both at the solution level, the platform level, the model level? And who's reviewing them on a consistent basis. It doesn't change or negate the need to do proper performance testing, but you want to make sure you have monitoring in as well. Here's some best practices that you can look at it. I won't go through all of them, but you want to ensure that you have proper assessment. Governance, data governance rules are put into, and then you're looking at overall monitoring. Because you're going to have different mandates, you want to make sure that you have the right audit programs to tag to that. So this kind of gives you an idea of some solutions. Now, most of the GRC solutions out in the marketplace and other ones listed beyond this can plug in and play around GRC. All the AR model, whether that's a chat box for customer service, whether that's looking at your customer service in terms of loyalty plans, whether that's looking at demand forecasting, they're all just a program. And you're going to want to assess that program, and you're going to want to plug it into your GRC in terms of the frequency. So there's many solutions out there. I'm not going to pick one, but I put it in this particular chart just to highlight it. So what is next? Well, no matter what you do in slice and dice around AI adoption, it's here to stay. What's going to do is how you want to basically set up your audit tracking around it. Like I mentioned earlier, on the platform, the software, and just the overall health of the application. You're also going to have mandates that you have to be in compliance. We saw this many years ago with EU GDPR, that we need to fall in compliance on that. We need to make sure our software is certified that. So this probably brings into your overall internal audit checking process, and it might be product certification required down the road. Is that you also want to best look at how you stage data in terms of mitigating possible security threats and attacks. A lot of organizations do not want to have live ports or IPs open, so they want to look at ways to stage that data in terms of the refresh process. And of course, as you expand use cases, the more you need to align those use cases with the GRC model as part of the overall programming. Thank you.